Donna here in place of Caroline Bruce, and Claire in place of John Moran. Any other? No? Okay. Move on to declarations of pecuniary interest. Are there any? No? Okay, so minutes of the previous meeting. Are they agreed? Thank you. We'll move to the first substantive item, which is the Merton Legacy Fund. Councillor Alan Brittis.
Thank you, Leader. If you all recall, as a result of our successful sale of Chas back in 2023, realising a capital injection into the council's coffers of £186 million, we've wisely invested that and put it to good use, and one of those cabinet requests was that £15 million be allocated to locality-based projects, following the setting up of an advisory board made up of the people from throughout the boroughs, representing town centres, neighbourhoods, businesses, voluntary organisations. We put to we sought ideas for such projects, and 1,400 ideas were sent in. However, the cabinet looked at all that, and the advisory board put that into 3 options. Cabinet asked for that to be put to a public vote. The public vote has taken place, and option C has come to fruition, and it's been hugely successful. And wanted to thank officers involved, and in particular the communications side of things as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Alan Brittis. Asad, did you want to come in?
Thank you, Chair. So yeah, just to reiterate, this has been a vote on the 3 options for the Legacy Fund, and it follows the establishment of the Merton Legacy Fund Advisory Board to oversee the development of capital projects, which will leave a lasting legacy in Merton, funded from the allocation of £15 million of capital receipts in that fund. So the winner was option C, as Councillor Lambriti said, breathing new life into public spaces, and we received just over 2,400 votes as part of this round. So residents, community groups and stakeholders were invited to participate in these 2 exercises, and the public vote ran up until the 3rd of March. So this has been an innovative and unique programme in the public sector, and I'd like to thank Councillor Lambritis for being on the advisory board, cabinet officers and all those who voted, but also all those who gave up their spare time to be on the advisory board. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Councillor Stringer.
Thank you very much, Chair, and I'd like to thank everyone involved in this. As a cabinet member for Civic Pride, I think this is the type of thing that really it does give us pride, both in terms of getting residents involved and in terms of the projects that we're going to be funding. So I just wanted to know a bit more about, if the cabinet member can explain a bit more about how many residents participated in that vote and how it was promoted. I definitely saw some big billboards, but how much work went into that?
Thank Councillor Stringer for her question. So as the Finance Director has hinted, about 1,407 people voted. Let's not forget the 1,400 ideas that came in from the public as well, representing quite a number of people. Perhaps a number of them put in 3 or 4 ideas. But yes, 2,407 votes, and we used the expert services of our communications department with press releases, traditional press releases on our website, social media websites. There were many community forum meetings throughout that time, and any meeting, full council, cabinet, publicity was also given out through posters throughout the borough, using bus stops as well as X and TikTok and so on. Thank you.
Councillor Cooper-Marbia.
Thank you, Chair. And can I also send my thanks and appreciation to the cabinet member, the executive director, and all their team for this work. Can the cabinet member tell me or tell us what kind of projects that were chosen by residents And when can they expect to see work begin on these projects? Thank you.
And Councillor Cooper-Marbert for her question. As the Finance Director Assad has hinted, option C, breathing new life into public spaces, was the ultimate winner following the public plebiscite. Did you like that word? Plebiscite. I like that word. So rain gardens in Collinswood, Morden, Mitcham, Pollard's Hill, Rains Park, Wimbledon are the kind of things that will come to fruition. Womble themed library enhancements in Collinswood, Morden, Mitcham, Pollard's Hill, Rains Park, Wimbledon. I won't mention all the areas, it's just to emphasise that all the areas throughout the borough will be benefiting. So additional street lighting, outdoor gyms, playground upgrades, Morden Park pump track, baseball court, basketball court, and further improvements are to our park improvements, community co-designed. So yes, those are the kinds of projects. Officers are already working up. Obviously, the first thing that moves into place is procurement for these. The cabinet has already approved the budgets, so procurement starts first.
Brilliant. I don't see any further indications, but I would just also like to place on record my thanks to all of those residents that participated in the advisory board that helped shortlist all of the projects and put them into 3 options, and for the time that they've given up to do that. And it was an advisory board that was spread right across the borough in terms of representation, and I think it shows by the number of votes how engaging and excited residents are to see the options that they have shortlisted. And I think I'm right in saying that 2,407 votes, it probably is one of the most engaged surveys or pieces of work that the council has done. So credit to the communication team, and a big thanks to all of the residents that did participate in that ballot, and we can't wait to see them come to life. So Cabinet, we're being asked to agree recommendation A, which is note the outcome of the public vote on the legacy fund option lists. Is that noted? Thank you. We'll now move on to the Merton Fleet strategy. Councillor Neveson.
Thanks so much, Leader. So with this strategy, I've got to say a huge thanks to Donna for all her work that she's done in putting this together. I think it's a fantastic document that sort of charts not just the next few years, but the next few decades of where our waste service is going to be going and how we stay at the front of the pack of being a very climate and forward-thinking council. So really glad that this is coming for us this evening, and happy to take any questions on this work and what we'll be doing to make sure that our fleet stays at the front of the pack in terms of our decarbonisation plans.
Thank you, Councillor Neveson. Donna, did you have anything to add?
Thank you, Leader. Just to say that it has been a long journey to get us to this point, but I am really optimistic that Merton Council will be in the leading group in London councils in terms of our decarbonisation and our move to a fully electric fleet in terms of waste and streets, passenger transport, and all of the other areas of corporate fleet that we have by 2030. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Great to hear we're leading the way. Councillor Macaulay.
Thank you. Thank you. Cabinet member and all the officers involved in this. The implementation of the fleet strategies 2026 to 30 seems to be a very exciting project. And can the cabinet member explain how this will improve waste collection services for our residents in the borough?
Absolutely. So with these vehicles, it's not just about the climate benefits that they'll bring and helping us meet that key 2030 target, but these vehicles are actually brilliant in themselves. They help to reduce pollution locally, so they produce less pollution because they'll be electric vehicles that we'll be using more often. They have less noise, so sometimes you might be getting woken up by vehicles and things early in the morning. You won't with these, it'll be much reduced because they're electric vehicles. They're much easier to maintain as well as less moving parts. So there's a cost impact there, and also just cheaper to run in general as well. You're not relying on petrol, and as we've seen, the propensity for global situations to affect that, we've much more reliant on electricity and the cheaper cost to come with that. So I think residents will see a big impact when those cars and those big trucks go past, and the difference that they have with what we have now.
Are there any further, Councillor Judge?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for the question. Well, as I'm sure everyone will know, last year we were rated the 8th best council in the country for our climate work by Climate Emergency UK. And as part of that, we have a 2030 target to decarbonise our own emissions at the council, and getting our fleet in order and making sure that's in the right place and that we're leading the way in London when it comes to that is a key part of that. So once we have this strategy adopted, we can really move forward with that and make sure that we're hitting that target by 2030, if not earlier.
Brilliant, thank you. There's no further indications. So we're being asked to agree recommendations A, B, C and D. Are they agreed? Thank you. We'll now move on to walking, wheeling and cycling strategy. Councillor Neveson.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this might be the first of a few times you'll be hearing from me this evening. Again, I think this is a really, really exciting piece of work. It is our first ever walking, wheeling and cycling strategy that the council has produced. I think it's an excellent roadmap of how we're going to make the borough much more accessible for everyone. It has a very specific actions on what we'll be changing, what we'll be upgrading, what we'll be investing in to make our borough even better to get around. So really, really happy to take any questions on that. And once again, I need to say a big thank you to the officers who've led the creation of this report. In particular, Richard Lancaster and Louisa Green, who've done an excellent job, not just with this, but with all the consultation work they've been doing as well. So a huge thanks to them.
Donna, would you like to add anything?
Not on this occasion. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you. So open the floor for questions, comments. Councillor McCabe.
Thank you, Leader. I'd like to ask if the Cabinet member could explain why key changes were made to the strategy during the consultation period.
Thank you very much. So as many might have seen, I mean, one of the biggest changes we made was changing the whole title of the report. It went from being the walking and cycling strategy to the walking, wheeling and cycling strategy. And this was because we had a lot of responses from people across the borough. We met with a lot of groups, not least like the Merton Centre for Independent Living, who brought across some of the views of their clients. And we've also noticed that this is also kind of that shift going across London as well. We know TfL are moving that direction as well. So we want to be at the very front of that and making sure that we're giving that due attention to the wheeling aspect of that report. And I think it's also a credit to the work that Richard Lancaster and Louisa Green did with collecting consultation responses. They not only did the kind of the stuff that you would expect from the online kind of side of things, from the placements in Merton and things like that, but they also actually went out to go and speak to people. They planted themselves in Mitcham Town Centre and invited people to come and speak to them about the issues locally they were facing from that as well. So we received loads of responses, 72 consultation responses, 11 separate responses from stakeholders, 206 comments on our proposed cycle network. So there was really, really good positive changes with that name change. We also introduced new themes in the report. And so, yeah, a big thank you to the officers involved, and also to many of the stakeholders who made a really, really important footprint on the report. And I think you can see that with the document that we have before us this evening.
Brilliant, thank you. Councillor Kawesa.
Thank you, Leader. And can I begin by recognising what my Cabinet colleague has already said around how the consultation has helped make this strategy more accessible for our residents. I'm really glad to hear that, and I would be interested to hear more about how this strategy will promote accessibility for our residents. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, this is our first ever walking, wheeling and cycling strategy. I think that is a testament to the work this council is doing to try and make this borough as accessible as it possibly can be for those who are walking, for those who are wheeling, for those who are cycling. And so if you go through this report, you'll see a number of specific schemes that we've got in there that will help make that impact. And I think the kind of benefits you'll be seeing from that as well, there's a huge amount of range of things like improved health, tackling air pollution, things like that we can reap from the successful delivery of this report. So I'm really excited about the work now that we've got this report together, and now we can get on with delivering it and making Merton more accessible for everyone across the borough.
There's no further indications. I just want to say my thanks to officers and to the cabinet member for this piece of work, because it's not just the strategy, it's an important instrument, important tool in our tool set, but also the capital allocation of £1.8 million, which is available to deliver straight away the key actions of the strategy over the first 3 years. Will mean that it's not just changes written in a document, it's actually going to be implemented, and there will be changes that residents will see over the coming years. So a big thanks from me. Cabinet, we're being asked to agree the recommendations now, which are recommendations A, B and C. Are they agreed? Thank you. And we'll now move to the Highways Capital Programme 26-27. Councillor Neveson.
Thank you very much again. And this is somewhat similar to the report we were just discussing about how we can make the borough as accessible and easy to get around as possible. And one of the most important things we can do is making sure that our road network is the highest quality possible. So this programme sets out how we'll be investing £5.3 million over the coming year in delivering carriageway improvements, delivering footway improvements, street lighting improvements, as well as upgrades to bridges and structures as well. So I'll be tackling potholes and making Merton an even better place to get around. So really happy to take questions. I'm really excited to have this investment to be discussing this evening.
Colleagues, any questions, comments? Do you just use your microphone, please? Thank you.
I want to thank Councillor Neveson for his report on the Highways Capital Programme. What difference will residents see as a result of this investment that you're making?
Thank you very much for the question. Well, I think that the key difference is different you see when you kind of walk outside your own house. I think anyone who's seen or lives on a road that's been recently resurfaced will see the huge difference it makes to the area. It's not just about actually driving on it, but just the difference it makes to the whole neighborhood. It becomes a place that people are, are really proud and like to live in. Whenever even residents I talk to that have had their road resurfaced a couple of years ago, they can still see the major difference that makes to the area. And so that's what we want to bring, to areas all over the borough. And it's not just about the roads as well, but it's also about the footways and those big issues about making Merton more accessible. When you have good quality footways, it's easier for everyone, whether you're walking, whether in a wheelchair, whether you're pushing a pram. It's vital that those footways are in great condition as well. So I really think that residents see the difference with this big investment in our road network over the coming year.
Thank you. Councillor McCabe.
Thank you, Leader. I'd like to congratulate Councillor Neveson on the investment plan receiving a green rating from the government. But I'd be interested to know how our investment plan for roads compares to our neighbours.
Thank you very much for the question, and I'm really delighted the government's recognised our investment plan over not just this year but the coming years in the future. And in the first year of the new government that we had back in 2024, we received 300,000. The next year we had 606,000, and this year we're getting 1.5 million. And the reason they're investing that money is because they know that we're backing that up with our own capital, and we've got a plan that they can believe in. So I'm really delighted the government has recognised that, and that money, that yearly money, will rise to £2 million by 2030. But as I'm sure everyone in this room will know, just to right next door, we have our neighbours in Kingston, who people will be well aware have the highest council tax in the whole of London. And you'd think with that you might be getting much more investment in your roads, but you'd be sorely mistaken, because their funding is nearly £2 million less than ours, which is pretty shocking. And it's horrendous that you're paying more council tax for even worse services there. So I'm really delighted that here in Merton we're making a proper investment in our roads and leading the way amongst councils in the southwest area.
Thank you, Councillor Neveson. An important reminder for our residents and our neighbouring residents. Any further questions or comments? No. Okay, so we'll turn to the recommendations. Being asked to agree recommendations A and B. Are they agreed? Thank you. And we will hand back to Councillor Neveson for the adoption of the local flood risk management strategy and surface water management plan.
Again, a common theme is also a really important document, and I know a lot of work has been going on in recent times to get this report into as great a place as possible. And flooding is an issue that we have seen in recent years can have a big impact in Merton. And so the work that officers have done in our flood team is fantastic to recognise the issues that are there, prescribe solutions, potential ways we can mitigate that, and hopefully minimise the impacts of flooding in the future. So this strategy lays out that plan, and I really hope it will be welcomed by people to show that Merton Council is taking flooding very seriously and doing everything we can within our power to minimise its impact.
Thank you, Councillor Neveson. Comments, questions? Councillor Cooper-Marbia.
Thank you, Leader. And can I say thanks as well for all the work that has gone through regarding this report, because I know I was involved in spreading the word to residents and getting them involved in consultations and all like that. So can the cabinet member tell us more about the background of the report and any key benefits for residents? Thank you.
So I think that the key benefits you can roughly sort of summarize into three categories. I think that the first one is plotting out how we're going to work with our partners to bolster that resilience locally, both with residents and with business owners as well. As we deal with the impacts from climate change, this is something we might be seeing more of. And so it's vital that we boost those relationships with those groups and make sure that we're as well connected as possible with them. But it's also about actively managing the infrastructure that we have in place and looking at if there is better and more we can do to reduce the likelihood of flooding in the future and the damage that it causes to homes, to businesses, and to the local community. And then the third one is kind of basically the general point around preparing for future instances, looking at that management, looking at what happens in the immediate aftermath of potential flood risks in the future. So I think the key message with this document is that Merton has a really strong blueprint for how we're going to be addressing the instances of flooding in Merton in the coming future should they arise, and that it's something that the whole council is working towards, that we know exactly what to do to minimise that risk going forward.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? No. Okay. We're being asked to agree recommendation A. Is that agreed? Thank you. We'll now move to the final report, which is the period 10 financial monitoring report. Councillor Alan Brittis.
I won't say too much. I'll ask Asad to come in, but this is pretty good stuff. Really impressed with the work of officers, the chief executive down, everyone involved on finances. Pretty unusual for a London local authority to be forecasting a surplus at the outturn of this financial year. An underspend of 132,000 and coming down all the time. Over to us.
Thank you, Councillor. So this is the final in-year monitoring report of 2025-2026. So the forecast variance on our net service expenditure has reduced by 917,000 since the last period 9 report. So we are now showing an underspend of 132,000, as Councillor Alan Brittis just mentioned. So although that does include the effect of corporate items, pleasingly, the departmental overspend has reduced by £250,000 in the same period, And when you compare it to Q1, that figure is a £2.9 million reduction in forecast departmental spend, showing the measures that Cabinet and directorates have put in place to reduce our spend. So it's really pleasing to see all the work that's gone in this year. And the report also contains a capital update and lots more detail on departmental positions. The final financial position for the year will be reported through the outturn report, which will come in early summer. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Asad. Any comments? Councillor Neveson.
Thank you very much for the report. I know you mentioned this already, Stephen, but about the forecast for a surplus in period 10 at the outturn of this financial year, and as Asad also and yourself alluded to, continue sort of noting the continued pressure on local government finances. How have you been able to get into that position?
I thank the Councillor Stewart Neveson for his question. As I said, it's very, very impressive. Basically, two things. The spend control measures have been really effective. Staff throughout the departments have been working on these, and also a very good job has been done in reining spending, especially in adult social care. My colleague here, Peter McCabe, and his director, Morgan, all departments have done especially well, but we really need to acknowledge adult social care. So spend control measures, every borough has those, but some just don't practice them, don't put them into fruition, don't use them. So the spend control measures are there everywhere throughout all boroughs, but ours have been really, really effective, and reining in spending has been done well by everyone in all departments, especially adult social care.
Thank you. Councillor Kenny.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you very much for your report. Can the Cabinet member confirm how much of Merton's DSG deficit is expected to be covered by the new High Needs Stability Grant?
Sorry, Councillor Allen Britton, can you just use your...
I thank Councillor Kenny for her question. It is a good watch. I'll get on to that percentage. It's all subject to a SEND local reform plan, which you will be aware of, and Beverly will be aware of. It's all subject to that. We have to do that. If we get all that right, then 90% will be the percentage that will be paid for by the government.
Councillor McCabe.
Well, thank you, Leader. I'd like to thank my colleague, Councillor Allen Britton, for his very kind words, but it's really important for me on this last occasion that I can do so to thank the staff in adult social care for the huge amount of work that's gone into achieving this underspend and carefully managing our resources for the second year running. And I'd like to ask the director if he's able to tell us how many other London authorities have achieved those kind of savings over the last 2 years. And if he doesn't have that information to hand, perhaps he could circulate it to members of the Cabinet.
Thank you. I knew that question was coming, but I still don't have an exact figure for you, but it's not many. Adult social care is one of the key financial pressures of lots of local authorities, not just because of demand, but because of funding pressures and the cost of providing care. I will distribute something about London, but we are in a very small minority of boroughs across the land who are reporting an underspend at this stage, and it's a pretty significant one as at period 10. So I will circulate.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we are turning to the recommendations. We're being asked to agree recommendations A and B. Are they agreed? Fantastic, thank you. So that concludes the main business, or the only business of this meeting. I'd just like to thank Cabinet colleagues and directors for all of their hard work and graft over the past 4 years, and look forward to seeing you on the other side. Thank you.